What a week. Lots of moving and shaking in the world, and the temperatures are hot in most places. And yeah, parenting can be hot, especially parenting a teen. I haven't talked a whole bunch about teens because I don't like to designate out, different ages per se, because I feel that the basis of the core of what drives our behavior is our feelings at whatever age. But I will talk about a little bit about teens today because that's kind of where I cut my teeth. I started working for a company that worked with at-risk teens. They had mentors and they were looking for a parent coach. And so I said, sure, I can do that. Not really knowing what I was heading into. And when I got in there were all kinds of ways. Everybody was trying to control the teen's behavior. And they were writing all these contracts about how the teen needed to behave. They were sending teens off to programs. And yes, sometimes that needs to happen. But I started noticing, that the adults in a way weren't really taking responsibility for their part in the dynamic. And so that led me back to realizing in myself, even with my younger child at the time, that I wasn't taking responsibility often for my part in the dynamic, that it was so much easier to see that my child was misbehaving and then to try my best to try to get her to behave the way I wanted her to behave so that I could feel comfortable. So with the teens, it was just more extreme because their behavior was much more provocative, much more intense for parents. And so there was a lot more fear of the present and fear of the future. So I noticed that parents got even more dysregulated and they got more controlling and they really tried to ground the kids and control the kids and have them write out contracts and take things away. And it just seemed to exacerbate what was happening. And so if you've been hanging out with me for a while, you know that I just love to dig deep. And I'm like, something is not working here. I mean, they had sometimes 10-page contracts with these kids, especially when they come back from treatment. And the parents would come to me and say, well, why are they not following the contract? And I gotta, police them and all of this. And I was like, something is a little funky here. So I had some really brave parents that I worked with. And I asked them, I said, why don't we just put those contracts in the drawer here for a little while and come and sit at my kitchen table and let's talk. Let's really start diving deep into what's going on inside of you, because I can hear that you are really, really scared. Of course you are. And you really want your kids to be successful, and you really don't know what to do because they're big now and they can just walk out and they can get in a car and drive off and they can do whatever they want and they can say, go to hell and I'm going to do what I want. And so I noticed it was just even more intense, especially for highly successful people that were able to control their environments at work and had successful companies and were the boss. And here they were at home with their teenagers that refused to play. They're like, you're not the boss of me. Started really young. And now as a teenager, you're not the boss of me meant I'm leaving. I'm out of here. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. So if you are a parent of a teen or even a parent of a young kid, because this is all the same, what we work with in Purejoy is those feelings that drive our behavior. So what I noticed was the parents, the more powerless they felt, the more helpless they felt, the more out of control, the more intense they got, the more tight they got, the more controlling they got. And what this did, it was activated the teen's amygdala, which is that little pea brain at the bottom of the brainstem, which is the fight, flight, or freeze. And I noticed that the kids started taking bigger risks. So the more the parents grounded them, I have one kid, the parent had taken everything out of his room except for his mattress. And he just kept going. He was like, So the more he was controlled, the more he acted out. Yeah. So we put all the control, all the contracts, all the controlling of the behavior and the methods, we put them in the drawer. And I really started sitting down with parents and realizing how powerless and helpless they felt. And that was the root was driving their control, was how powerless. When they felt powerless, they were power over control. That was the behavior that drove the powerlessness, drove that power over behavior. Now, let me tell you, it's not easy. I'm going to talk about this next week too, so you can join me. This is going to be a little bit longer series here, and I'm just going to give you little nuggets, but you can imagine if you've been hanging out with Purejoy, where we're going, because the parents, instead of taking responsibility when their techniques didn't work, when they powered over and the kids got more intense, they just doubled down and they blamed the kids and they controlled them even more. And let me tell you, that doesn't really work, or it didn't work for all the folks I worked with. It didn't work for me as a parent of a teenager. So if you're curious and you're interested, check out next week, because we're going to talk about what does work with teens. All right. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week on Parenting Paused. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parenting Paused. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and share it with your mama friends. You can also leave a review wherever you listen, which will support getting the Purejoy message out. Come on over to the Purejoy Parenting Practice Facebook page or join me on Instagram to hear more. And don't forget to download your free copy of the Safe Seat course on the Purejoy website. And while there, check out the offerings page to go deeper in the Purejoy work.